their three burns over you and you work on a gas. It's just one of those terrible horror stories that unfortunately are all too real. And it's not just you who needs to wear your equipment, it's your buddy next to you. It's you need to be able to trust that that pipe you just walked by, the guy who's there before you did his job properly, or read the drawing correctly and built it according to code and did it safely. Yes, NCCR has a whole slew of curriculum, be it the level 1, be it the level 2 in welding. American Welding Society has put together a whole slew of it as well. I know NCCR has your books and whatnot in the back, as I brought mine as well. Use it. This is we've invented the wheel for you. And I'd say this is the other educators here as well. The two bodies here kind of know what we're talking about when it comes to the welding industry, and again, we want folks educated properly. We want folks operating the welding facilities safely and efficiently as well, be it with the Certified Welding Supervisor program and the others. So there are ways that again, we can partner with the folks here to help better that industry and obviously get the folks doing it in a safe manner.
If you want to use the two curriculums combined, go for it. That's the beauty of what we've done, is it's really to help augment your program so you can use all the resources available.
That's it. Online, paper, the whole this is what we want folks utilizing.
Great, thank you. I pulled up something. I took the liberty of bringing this up when we talked about what kind of salaries, et cetera, that we can look to find. And every year, NCCER, we conduct a voluntary survey of our sponsored, our training sponsor organizations. So these are contractors, many of them leading contractors in the industry. And so they supply us with information on average salaries of welders, pipe fitters, riggers, mobile crane operators. And so this is not like Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor statistics or anything like this. This is actual company wage information. Does not include per diem or overtime. These are base salaries for the average welder. So we have on this in this bottom right hand corner, you'll see we have 3 different welder types. We got a combo welder, pipe welder, and then as well as a structural or fabricator, the guy or gal working back at the fabrication shop. So, I mean, there's some pretty significant money potentially there. You can find this if you're curious about maybe sharing some of this with the students. What can you make? This is based on real world information. This was 89 different contractors that supplied us this information this past year, 2015. Every year you go to our website, probably sometime after February, March, we'll usually have this updated. But this is just the PDF form, but if you go to the home page of our website, just for those of you who are familiar with it, scroll down about halfway and then we have it right here. We've got this, and you go ahead and click that. There's a press release, and then you can click it to pull out that PDF.
This is around the country.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if you included there, or if you asked them when you get that salary data. A lot of times the salary surveys are missing the full compensation package.
Right.
That people are looking at, where a lot of times they'll hire on 1099 or something like that, where they are on the hook for taxes and all that
right.
every year, as well as no benefits and no anything, no that.
Right.
So it's a good start.
Right. There's more to it, in other words. Is that what you're alluding to? Yeah, sure.
So a lot of times that people come in with, after seeing a survey like that, not saying that yours doesn't include that, because it's pretty solid.
Right.
But they'll come in with a completely skewed expectation.
Right, right. And this is the average wage. So this includes, journey level, beyond journey level welders. So we're kind of looking at then your entry level, your new hires or whatever. So some of these folks are actually probably really lifting the average because of their advanced skills and experience.
Do you know if that includes overtime?
It does not. This is just base salary. It is not per diem. It is no overtime included in this. And it doesn't factor in things like what are the compensation, health insurance. Many, again, when we talk about private industry and working with, for example, we have a couple terms that we use at NCCR. We have owners, the owner community, Gulf Power, Lakeland Electric. These are the organizations that need to hire companies to either build their projects or to maybe assist in some of the regular maintenance projects that they have. So those contractors, of course, they have to be competitive on their bids, their ability to deliver high quality work. one of the article that Greg shared on Kiewit, which many of you may not be familiar with this company, Kiewit, one of the largest contractors probably in the world, certainly in the U.S. And Kiewit, I tend to read a lot of stuff, industry journals and things like that, which I really get into. I like that part of my job. But Kiewit, just as an example, some of these companies are very high quality companies. Their work is they're second to nobody. Kiewit has done a lot of work in the greater Nashville area on replacing overpasses on the interstates. And Kiewit has just got it down to a science where they will come in, close the interstate interchange on a Friday afternoon, and by Monday morning, the bridge is completely replaced and the highway's back open again. They come in, they do heavy lifts, they bring in modular sections at night, offload, everything is all set, they demo it, they put the new bridge up, they move on, and again, these companies get incentives sometimes, especially on state highway work, et cetera. They may have incentives to finish early, on time, under budget, and they can still earn incentives. So industry really does tend to set kind of the mood of like, what is high quality, what do we need so we can deliver to our owners, et cetera, that many of you are preparing your students to go and work for, or for the contractors that work for them. With that all being said, I don't want to talk too much because I do like to talk. But really, I'll just segue into our final question, and we'll certainly open it up for more questions and answers. But really, what I'd like to ask, I'll start with Patty. What assistance, what kind of resources does your organization offer to the instructors here, or any of our industry partners, as far as what they might be benefited by as well? So maybe you can share a little bit more about support and resources.
So I only have a couple minutes, right?
Couple minutes, yeah. I was going to save some time for me.
Now, at CCR, we really strive to make sure we have resources for our instructors. We've had, our older curriculum has an annotated instructor guides. Newer curriculum has full lesson plans with additional activities built in, suggested activities. So, for example, when that comes off the top of my head, we were talking with heavy equipment operators, and we were talking about compacting dirt. How do you show how dirt compacts, especially if it's dry compared to wet? One of them said, grab a box, get a rolling pin, show them how to roll it with a rolling pin, put some water in there, show how much it goes down. So we have activities like that built into our lesson plans, suggested activities to help the instructors help drive home what the ideas are behind each area. We also have online resources, especially for core welding and electrical. We have a great platform of online training that has interactive videos, interactive figures that can be used. I wrote them down so I could remember them all. We also have our Instructor Resource Center, which has our exams. There's a lot of times there's videos on that as well, or additional drawings. We have additional resources on our website. And for those of you that are working closely with a sponsor, the sponsor reps can go on to the A&R. There's a resources tab there, and they can actually pull up some things so that you can use to train with. So for example, we did boiler making. So we have video clips on what is a good cut. How do you not gouge how do you tell what a good cut is compared to a gouged metal where you can't accept the cut. So we have some video resources available like that we have for our sponsor organization. So any of the sponsors, Christy could go on, can download those videos and then share them with the schools that she's working with. And then our big one really is Build Your Future. It's byf.org. It's a separate website, kind of a separate thing that NCCR does, but the whole purpose of BYF is recruitment. So you're saying you have a new program at your school, you don't know how to get the kids involved, how to get the parents excited about it, go to byf.org. They have resources that shows average salaries, what's included in the job, about approximately what's included in the job. Every company has their own variation. It also talks about what education requirements there are. There are posters available. There are videos available. We have some videos that we were put a GoPro on someone's hard hat, and we can show what a life of a tower crane operator is in just a few minutes. So there's probably about 3 or 4 of those videos. So we have a lot of resources. We have videos on educators talking to parents, industry talking to parents, educator to educator, parent. We have a lot of different videos that can be used for recruitment for your programs. I would really encourage you all to look at that. If you have any questions at all, my cards are back there. And then, last but not least, and then, sorry, gentlemen, I'm kind of rambling on here, but yesterday I kept hearing that nobody knows how to interview. We have this issue with soft skills. NCCR has a book called Tools for Success. It is not a credential that you can earn, but you can use it with CORE, and it goes through the whole process of how to get into a construction-related industry, how to fill out an application, how to have a resume, what to talk about at an interview, how to dress appropriately for an interview. You don't necessarily want to go in on a three-piece suit and you're going to have to dig a hole. I know we were talking about digging holes last night. So, we talk about all that, and then once you get a job, how do you keep it? So Tools for Success is a great companion piece. Even if you don't have time to teach from it necessarily, I would recommend you have it as a resource for just reference material. Just have a resource in your classroom, so when someone says, how do I know how to fill out an application? You know what, here's a book, look at this, and then let's talk about it.
Great, thank you, Pat, appreciate that.
Website, BAF.
BYF, buildyourfuture.org. BYF.
Okay. Next question, and it really just goes back to you, Greg, it's the same thing. Maybe you could share a little bit more about what Miller Welding has to offer as far as resources or how you might assist. Gentleman mentioned earlier about building a new welding lab. I don't know if that's something you can maybe speak to, how you work with schools or industry partners in developing welding facilities and so forth, if you could.
Well, I guess at the school level, we have a whole educational department based out of Appleton, Wisconsin. So just much like AWS and NCCR, we have posters and videos and handouts and curriculum books on flux core welding, MIG welding, stick welding, TIG welding, and all of that. So those are all accessible. Most of those are online. There is a book. I only had a few of them, but if we run out, you can give me your card, and I'll be glad to get it back. We have a whole pamphlet that you can go through. It's about a 6 or 7 page pamphlet that has all that stuff on. So we try to make it easy for you to order. And then certainly you have local guys like myself too in the area that certainly you can reach out to. We also have specialists that cover a bigger area than mine. For instance, like if someone's putting a new lab in or whatever, then certainly I usually would come in initially, kind of do an audit and try to figure out from there, what would we do. I can certainly help on the equipment side. If it's a filtration issue where you would have to put a complete filtration system in your lab or whatever, we have people that are filtration engineers that are on staff that we can bring in, do an assessment of the facility, do the full-blown drawings, the layouts, the budgetary numbers, and all of that. So pretty much from A to Z, as far as your lab, we can help you from pretty much whatever you want there. So certainly on the education side, we've got it pretty well covered. As far as the end user, again, it's just the bigger type end users, market segments and stuff. We have segment managers throughout the United States that are concentrating and hitting on the Kiewits and the Babcock and Wilcox, Foster Wheelers, and all of that, dealing with their corporate people on a direct basis. The smaller facilities, again, local facilities, and so on. We have a network of distributors throughout the nation. We sell our products through distribution. Some of you might be aware of some of the names that are out there, the Air Gases of the world, the Praxairs, the Mathesons, and there's a slew of independents that are out there. Those are kind of our eyes and ears in the community. Most of them always, if you're doing any kind of welding, you're dealing with a distributor generally because you're having to buy gas and so on. So again, we work with those for industry, and then again, bring people like myself for specialists or segment managers or so on in to work with companies. And again, from design to welding processes to consumables. We have a full line of consumables on the filament metal side. Working with you on preparing on what the right filament metal would be for that type of welding and so on.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Efren, please, if you could.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I would just say that the end users within the welding society and within the industry as a whole are our most important client, be it industry, be it engineers, be it students, be it their respective teachers. If there is a need within the welding industry, we want to be at the forefront of putting together that turnkey welding solution. To that point, I mentioned a little while ago about, our CWI program and our Certified Welding Supervisor program. As far as education goes, as far as the high school vocational career centers, the labor union apprenticeship programs, as well as even corporate training development, we put together a whole slew of online content that we want folks utilizing to augment their, be it their welding training, be it their welding curriculums. This is a whole slew of content with pre and post quizzes and usability on any mobile device or tablet or what have you, all completing with that stackable industry recognized certificate of completion that kind of says, hey, I know a little bit about welding centers, about welding fundamentals, about metallurgy, about non-destructive testing. I mentioned a little while ago about our ATF program and how, folks in the community can come to said ATF and become a certified welder, get that next level of their welding education and their careers. Again, we want to partner with folks in the local communities to be able to do that. I would also mention too, LinkedIn and the job boards out there are a huge resource for the industry. We've kind of developed our own too. It's called Welding. We call it that just because it's the LinkedIn for the welding industry. It's free for folks to post their resumes, free for companies to advertise their need for a position. Schools can create an account as well and offer their course listings and locations, and really kind of, again, get folks involved in the industry, where they live, where they're thinking about living, if they're gonna move, to another city for that underwater welding class, or take a program elsewhere. We want folks to be able to make their information available. I mentioned our codes and standards as well, and we have roughly 300 of them, 150 committees that meet domestically that meet domestically multiple times per year. These are all voluntary committees and local subject matter experts, of course, that take part in these and have what I did before I was involved in the educational workforce development folks is to manage those committees. So they're all volunteer based. They're all program management type roles again to get codes and standards that reflect current industry trends and research and have the proper applicabilities. I'm just looking over some notes here. I mean, again, we want to partner with you guys. We want local representation. We want end user feedback. Again, if there's a need in industry or in the educational way, that we want to be able to provide that.
Thank you very much. So with that said, I guess we'll just kind of open up to some Q&A. I think we're running relatively on time, and if we can wrap up a few minutes early, that's great too. I think we have until 11:15, so that's it.
I just want to make a comment that one way for the education and industry partner is the advisory boards for those centers or programs that are teaching. If you're in industry, seek out good schools that teach welding and get on their advisory board, because then you get the best, you get to pick the best of the best first. You have some input on what they're taught, and that's local, because our program's not going to be training underwater welders necessarily, because we don't have that industry. So the people on our advisory board will be from the welding companies, and we do welding, and have a welder that does Disney's welding. Well, so the kids, if they go on that tour, they can see that, what they need there. So Lakeland Electric can't hire all the welders in the welding program. We have 6 in our shop. So to get those other people on the advisory boards, they can also hire, employment for those students. I think is important, and for industry to serve on those and the education that we like them to
Definitely.
us to do.
And I actually forgot another resource that we have. We have a connections map. And basically, we have a website we can go to. John, I know
Yeah.
we can pull it up. But basically what the connection says is what Dan calls it match.com for the construction industry. So what you can do is, as a school, you can say, I'm interested in these programs, and then employers in the area, industry representatives can also go in there and say, well, here's the areas I'm willing to help with. I'm willing to help with an advisory board, I'm willing to help provide speakers, whatever that is. And then it will help you match up what those needs are and what the resources are that are available. So it's kind of a nice way to help partner. You may not think of somebody who's in your area who's willing to get on here, and then all of a sudden you can make that connection and know who to talk to at that company. So, just wanted to throw that out there as well, because it is very important to have that industry connection for your school.
I wanted to ask, I know the NCCR, the curriculum, program and stuff. We teach NCCR curriculum, and our students that take the welding test to get the AWS certified welder certification, or do we have to teach the SIMS program?
My understanding, and I won't speak for the NTCR settings, but in order to receive that certified welder, like, component welder has to come through the ATM program. Once one completes the SIMS certification, they will be assigned level 1.
Okay, well, I'm talking about those, I'm just talking about the actual hands-on welding test. If we become an ATL, and we give them that test, but we're using the NCCR curriculum, will that work? Because, like I said, it's pretty much aligned with it.
My understanding is that we basically will prepare them for the certification. Certification itself has to be through AWS.
I know the welding
But,
certification.
yeah, but even the sense, so what we've done is we have our curriculum and each level, each module has, one of your performance certificates. I think is the path. And, so each module has that, so it's kind of a practice run as you learn each motor, each type of weld. We align to it that way. So once you complete our curriculum, you've had all those practice runs, then you can go to AWS. If there's no practice that needs to be done, whatever with them, but that helps you prepare so that you can sit for their tests.
And I'll follow up with you offline with some of the,
Yeah, I know looking at it, the AWS certified welder is kind of in line with the level 1 on NCCR. But we could get the CAPE funding, $1,000 for an AWS certified welder, but we have to go all the way through level 3 in NCCR. So where's NCCR? They've got to be all the way through pipe welding. With the AWS certified welder, it's just plate welding test, which we cover that, it's level 1. But I'd love for the state to change that and make it, that be the advanced AWS certification or something. When they start having to pay out the money, you can do it for them.
John's trying to remember the path.
Yeah,
I just had a comment / question. I hope that all of you in the welding arena, whether it's your industry or education, I hope you're all aware that Skills USA has 3 contests in welding. One's welding, it's individual welding, and then there's welding fabrication, it's a team project, and then there's welding sculpture, which is awesome. And Skills USA is always judges on that.
So let me just brag, Eric and his students at Haney Technical College won first place welding in high school and adult of the welding competition this year, so.
We were just talking about that earlier before we came up here, we were talking about skills and just, how, when you get to the nationals and so on, I mean, that's big, that's important.
Neither one of mine would go to nationals because they both had jobs. Everybody's known them, and they're basically gonna lose $700 or $800, a week, and then one of them's employer wouldn't let him off. He said he wouldn't hire him, he's gonna take a week off that early. So that's why. And that was my high school kid.
That's a big achievement to go do that.
Yeah.
That's what they'll lead.
If you're not involved with skills, I would highly recommend getting involved with skills as a teacher. Not just for welding definitely, but not just welding, any other programs. Great organization, we work very closely with them. And, I'll tell you, I was sharing with Adam and Greg, we have industry partners that work with Skills USA just so they can go and hire the best of the best to build up their programs, their companies. So I would highly recommend it. It's amazing what those kids can do.
Well, as soon as, 2 of the local businesses found out they won state, they were there the next week. And told them, so we want you now. So,
Yeah, I would say we're fair to say all the time, if you win at that level, go up or whatever.
You're
You're not gonna have an issue getting a job. Yeah.
The thing about it, We actually had to dumb down the Welding for
it's
the
not post-secondary.
competition. I mean, and the scores were way above what the competition was, you know, so it's good. Good program.
And how proud was your high schooler when you got that job offer?
He was pretty happy.
I bet he was.
Yeah, he was very happy. The boy had worked 2 years to keep a raggedy piece of truck going where he could just come to school. And I told him, I said, don't go out and buy you a brand new truck, find you a decent used one. So he's doing that. But, Steels is a royal pain in the rear for the teacher, but it is worth it. You see the success, especially the team competition. Now, that is, I've got to do a better job. 2 years in a row, we probably built the best project, but we kind of screwed up with the blueprints and put the wells in the wrong place. You know, and then, but, I've got to do a better job on blueprint reading for next year, but, now that is the one that's very enjoyable, especially if you get a high school team. You know, it's fun to watch them come together and work on it.
Sure.
And if you're ever in the Panama City area, we would love to host you at Haney and let you see their welding program. How many, 60 booths, welding? 50
Yeah.
welding booths, and they are full.
We just spent a $1.1 million renovation.
It's phenomenal, so.
And if you're ever in the south part of Florida, you're welcome to come to Palm Beach State College and take a tour of our facility.
That is I met your instructor, I'm very impressed with it.
Oh, good.
Richard Reader.
Rick Reader,
Yeah, he
the
is.
SOC
He's
team.
very impressed. He runs a good program. It's every year looking at the state, reports, it's either he or I will run first and second in job placements
Yeah.
for the state.
Awesome. That's great.
Which I think he cheats, he gets a higher. We get some, can't pour water out the boot in the directions on the hill. Don't got that good read the directions, that's their problem.
Yeah. Any other questions for our parents before we wind it down?
Your instructor-led programs, are those all located down in Miami?
They're throughout the country, nationwide. Yeah, in fact, I brought a couple of brochures in the back with some of the, there you go, yep. Some domestic, some Miami, and some located domestically throughout the U.S.
Ephraim, isn't Northwest Florida State College becoming an AWS certified testing center?
Ooh,
Okay, I think they're working on
I
that,
think they might be
so
working towards
Northwest
it.
Florida State College, Scotty Smith,
yeah.
connect with me and I'll connect you with him. I think that's something they're working on. If
They're
Eric,
looking
you
towards it.
probably-
I don't know how far along
Yeah.
in the process, but
I think he's turned in his, procedure package, manual.
Yep.
And I think he's.
They're gonna be very close
okay,
to you.
no, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
And just real quick, I'll point out, so I finally did find where I wanted to go, Patty had mentioned, one of the things that we did, one of the things that NCCR is trying to promote is construction career pathways. We'll be hosting an event in November, this year in Las Vegas, prior to the National ACTE Conference. But one of the things that we've done as a spin out of that whole effort to work on connecting education and industry more closely, we came up with this connection maps. And you can essentially, if you'd like to, if you're a school, you want to get on that, and you can basically fill in like, what are we looking for? And there's other groups have similar types of maps, where schools can say, we're looking for advisory board members, we're looking for someone to offer tours of their facilities or the yards or guest speakers. And then conversely, also, industry can offer what it is willing to do. So if you go onto the map itself, you'll see there's hard hats, there are little schoolhouses. Hard hats are contractors or owner groups that maybe are willing to work with schools. And if you want to just check that out, get yourself on there, et cetera. We're trying to encourage more and more contractors to get involved with this. And what's interesting, at least from my seat in our workforce development department, this year alone, I just had so many smaller sized companies. We work with some of the biggest companies in the country. They employ 20,000 plus people. Job sites with thousands of guys and gals on it, building a refinery or a big project, an airport, whatever. But at the same time, there's a lot of smaller companies. Many of those smaller companies are also subcontractors for these larger contractors as well, the general contractors. And so they're beginning to realize the necessity, even though they don't often have those same resources, as far as, you know, the training facilities. And like I mentioned yesterday, I was in Houston, Texas, back in January, and you go to a job site and they've got, you know, basically a school right on the job site. I mean, it's in trailers, et cetera, but it's still, they're getting the point across, they're getting the skill sets developed and honed. And I think some of the smaller area contractors would love to be able to have students coming out of your programs. So definitely would encourage you to take a look at this map. It's on the NCCR website. On the home page and on the right hand, there's some scrolling buttons you can click, connections, construction career pathways connections map. And you can pull this up if you want to get yourself on there. So, any other last questions or comments? Okay, so I'd like to thank Patty and Greg and Ephraim. Appreciate your time today. And I think maybe we'll take a little, do we want to take a brief break here if everybody needs to? We'll come back at 11:15.